The Element Optics scopes you see featured in today's episode of The Quiet Rifle are available from SJ's Trading Company in Australia. So click the link in the description if you would like to go and have a sniff around. They have a very comprehensive dealer network, and wonderful news, the Nexus and the Helix first focal plane variant are both available in stock now, ready to go. So get you some before they sell out. I hope you enjoyed watching that as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, smash that like button, subscribe, do the things with the fingers. More to come soon. More on old Sandy. She's going to be showing up more often from here on in. So, last weekend went to the range to build, to test out this new build that I've put together. It's taken me a long time to get around to finishing this, but it's all put together now. So what we're doing is basically just running it in and figuring out all the teething problems. So what it is a HOWA 1500 barreled action with the 20-inch fluted varmint barrel. It is in a KRG Bravo stock, delightful flat dark earth colour. MDT 10-shot detachable 308 magazines. Suits the colour very nicely as well. It's not an exact match, but it's pretty close. We've got a Leo Photo Picatinny rail to Arca Swiss adapter, a Magpul 2-position bipod, just a cheap one, solid, has a little bit of play in it, but it's pretty good. You can sort of load into it and push it around a fair bit and it sticks on there good. A little bit heavy, but not too bad. And we have an EGW rail, Night Force rings, and my wonderful Element Optics Helix 6-24x50, and this is the second focal plane model. Love that sound. Great scope, and that was one of the reasons why we wanted to get out there and test this thing too, was to see if how the scope would go, if it was a good fit or not, being with such a high low end. But seemed to work real good. It's a very simple scope, easy to use. I like it. Now, anytime you build something like this from parts, well, anytime I build something like this from parts, it never works properly the first time. So this trip was a shakedown trip, realistically. So we went out to the range. Big thank you to the people at the range for letting us film. I don't know if they want us to tell which range it was, so we'll leave that alone for now. But thank you, much appreciated. They gave us an end bench, and they let us do all of our creamy 4K 120 slow-mo filming, so we'd really appreciate that. That was great. Otherwise there would be no video today, so yeah, cool. Thank you. And we got out there and set up some targets and started plugging away. It was great. It's one of those ranges where you're allowed to load up a full magazine. For those of you who are overseas, for some reason, apparently it's safety. Whatever. Most ranges in Australia are single load only, so you put one round in, you shoot it, and then you open the bolt and you put another round in. Super annoying, but not this range. This range we were allowed to load up magazines, so I got to test fire some magazines, and that's where my first little teething issue came. So for some reason, I think it's because of the these magazines being polymer, the lip on the back isn't 100% compatible with the detachable magazine base that goes with this gun. It does lock in there quite nicely, but under the heavy recoil of 308 coming out of a short barrel, it tends to want to work itself loose. So there was a couple of times where I was shooting and I would rack the bolt, run it forwards again, click, nothing, dead man's click, always great. So much fun when that happens. And then I look down and my magazine sort of just like dropped. It's gone from there to there, and the round hasn't picked up. So that's something I might have to change. I think I might, being that I do want to keep this chassis, I really like the way it looks and I like the ergonomics of it. And I don't think my other DBM, because I do have an Atlas Works DBM lying around here somewhere, which is an excellent, very well made piece of equipment, made in Perth, WA, somewhere in WA I think, can't remember. If you're watching this, Atlas Works, I love you, but I don't think your DBM works with this. So I should try that. That might solve the problem. I might not have to buy new magazines. But either way, if not, I'll go for a different brand, maybe get the steel ones instead of these polymer ones. These are pretty easy to sell. Seems like everybody wants AI magazines nowadays. So lots of different guns use them and they're quite popular. Very durable, nice and light too. Light, simple, durable, single stack, generally reliable if they stay in the gun, but apparently not on this gun. So that was problem number one. Problem number two, the muzzle thread protector was working itself loose and causing some strange harmonic issues. So I have since wound that back up, cranked it up, and put a little bit of blue Loctite on it. Blue Loctite is the removable Loctite. So if I do need to take it off, I probably won't. I don't think I'm going to put a muzzle brake on this, and we're not allowed to have suppressors here. I wish we were, because that would make shooting 308 a real pleasure. But no such luck. So thread protector it is for now. I don't really have any reason to put a muzzle brake on it. It doesn't really kick that hard. And I kind of like the clean, smooth look that it has, just with that muzzle protector on it. So we'll leave that on there, but she's blue Loctited on now, so it can't work itself loose. I think, because it was tight when I went there, but as the barrel heated up, I think the tolerances change a little bit, and you have to, nip it up again as the barrel expands and shrinks. So I think that's what that problem was. But having it loose on the end can give you some accuracy issues. So if you are experiencing some weirdness, make sure that that is one of the things that you check on your way through while you're checking everything else. And another problem which has plagued me pretty much every time I've used it is this bloody torque wrench. This is a Wheeler fat wrench, and I've just put it together. There's two things that are common with all of the problems that I've had. One, me. Two, this torque wrench. I think it's way out of whack. I think it's clicking out much too high. So it's putting way more torque on everything than it should. And that was one of the reasons why I had problems with my front ring. I torqued it up exactly to spec, to like 16 inch-pounds or whatever it was. Is it inch-pounds? Yeah. 16 inch-pounds on the front ring and the back ring as well. And there was so much torque on it that the parallax wasn't going to work. It was really tight and really hard to move. And if something's that tight and that hard to move, you probably leave it alone and fix whatever's causing that problem. So I did. I backed it off and then just used the short end of an Allen key to give it a medium grunt, and that went pretty well. It works fine now. But I used this on my action screws as well, and I think I put way too much torque into it because it wouldn't headspace properly on some of the different types of ammo that we were using. So I was using some old school 7.62 branded 308. It's like old military. I'll roll in some footage of it, but old military surplus 308, and it was 308. Well, at least it was labelled 308, then with 7.62 by 51 in brackets. So I'm guessing it was actually 308. But the bolt would close down to about here, and then it would get stuck. And now, since then, I have backed off the front action screw to a much lighter poundage, and it shuts. So I think the 40 or 50 inch-pounds that I put on there with this was probably closer to like 60 or 70 or something like that, because it's changing how smooth and easy it is to run the bolt. So I think with a bolt that was as tight as it was just way too much. So yeah, I've gone back to my old method of just medium grunt on an Allen key and then check, make sure that everything runs nice and smooth like it does now. So yeah, very annoying, very annoying. I'm going to throw this in the bin and go and buy a King Chrome or a Snap-on one, I think. Spend the money and yeah, stop damaging stuff for no reason. I think part of that problem also contributed to some other weirdness that I encountered with my scope. I had to completely back out the scope all the way up as low as it would go. So I had to run the crosshair all the way down, and ideally you want your scope to be pretty close to the center of its travel, but I had to do that to get the 0. And then when I came home and checked it, because that was really weird, like you shouldn't need a huge amount of travel just to get a center fire zeroed like this one. And I put my levels on it, and I think what's gone wrong is either that torque on the action screw is kind of aiming things up the wrong way a little bit, which seems unlikely, but could be it. But I put my levels on the scope, and I think this is a 20 MOA rail, which hasn't been labelled as a 20 MOA rail, and I think these are 20 MOA rings, which haven't been labelled as 20 MOA rings. So basically I had 40 MOA of elevation to shoot a 308 at 100 meters. So I just had to go all the way up to compensate for that. So I've put my levels on it, figured it out, spun it around, and I think I've managed to cancel out all of that MOA by putting the rings on backwards. So kind of leveled the scope up a bit. It still does have a little bit of a tilt to it, but I think next time I go to the range it'll be a lot easier. And just to double check that, seeing as I have my Titan off as a spotting scope at the moment, off my Impact, I'm going to pop this on my Impact and give it a run for a week or two. Maybe we'll do the next ammo test video that I do. We'll use the Helix instead of the Titan. So just to make sure that I can get that proper elevation without all the that came with it this time. So yeah. So accuracy. Let's have a look. Accuracy wasn't super exciting because I was running the barrel in. So I was shooting a couple of rounds, pulling it through, shooting a couple of rounds, pulling it through, and the barrel was really hot the whole time. I wasn't shooting slowly. I was having a good time. We're trying to get some good footage, and we did a few rapid fire serials to really get things going and have a good time. Very enjoyable, but not conducive to accuracy. Nothing to write home about. We're looking at about 2 inches at 100 meters. I tend to really struggle quite a lot when I'm shooting a bigger rifle off a bench. I just can't seem to get into a good comfortable position, and it seems like a lot of the ranges that we shoot at lately have been shooting uphill for some reason. Like the range at Imbil is down the road from me, and it's that one's uphill as well, and this one's also uphill, but there you go. 3 fingers. We're looking, that's not terrible. That's probably 1.5 inches. I think these little squares are 1 inch a piece. So yeah, we've got not terrible groups. It is consistent. It just needs to be tightened up as that barrel wears in. And I've since gone and pulled the barrel through with my little patchworm cleaning kit. This bad boy here, just to see how that went on a centerfire. Available from Air Rifle Slugs Australia. Link in description. And it worked really well. It was very good. And I also gave it a good couple of pull-throughs with my bore snake here, because it has a wire brush on it as well, and I wanted to get in there and scrape it out. So she's looking all nice and mirror finished in there at the moment, and I reckon with a bit of a little bit more tweaking we'll be able to get these groups much smaller, preferably like these groups over here. Next rifle that we were shooting, much better. Look at that. This is my, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 rounds, you know, 2 fingers. That's much better. Sub MOA groups at 100 meters, typically. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. And that was my Mossberg MVP. This bad boy here. So this one is, this was apparently, the bloke I bought it off told me that this was the 3rd one in the country. So I've had this gun for a good couple of years now, and I've got a couple of different stocks for it. I'm thinking of changing back to the old stock that I had on it, which was more of a target style stock because it had a bigger forend on it. And I just find that this one's just a little bit too short. I want to kind of be a little bit straighter when I'm shooting offhand with it. So it has been a bit of a project gun. It was a 24-inch barrel, 24-inch fluid varmint barrel, but I had it cut down to 18 inches by Train Tech in Brisbane. Did an amazing job, and he put this A2 whatchamadoodle muzzle brake on it. And it is a muzzle brake, it's not a flash hider. I pretty much bought it because I wanted to have something that finished the barrel nicely, and he timed the thread perfectly so it's all set up nice and level and everything. It looks great. It is a bit blasty though, so if you're next to me on the range next time I'm out there, I'm sorry. And we got loopholed 3-9 by 40 TMR, mil hash TMR with the 5-dot reticle in it. And this has been a pretty good little scope. I do kind of wish, I don't know, it's just a bit dated, that's all. It does everything I need it to do, but the reticle in it compared to the reticles in the Helix and the Titan it's just very, very thick. So at 100 meters, one of these little squares is completely covered by the thickness of the crosshair. And it's good if you are shooting something that's pretty big, like it's good for hunting and stuff like that because it's a very big, obvious crosshair and it draws your eye to it nice and quickly. But when you're trying to do a bit of precision shooting, it's less than ideal. But good quality scope, very durable, and hasn't let me down yet. So yeah, pretty happy with it. And I bought this when it was, Aussie dollar was quite a bit stronger than it is now, and I paid 500 Aussie dollars for this, shipped over from America, from Optics Planet. And nowadays, I think you're looking at quite a bit more to buy one of these. So I may end up moving it on and updating it, because I reckon I'll be able to get all of my money back for it. But the trick is going to be finding something with the same features that is as small and light as it is, because I do like how maneuverable this gun is. I don't like, it does have a heavy barrel on it, which is great for when you're doing lots of shooting at once. It takes longer to heat up, but I don't want all of my guns to be like precision focused bench rest guns. This one is like, it's silly accurate, has 10 round magazines. It would be a great boogaloo gun. And yeah, I don't really want to do too much more to it. I'm tempted to have a custom stock built for it, but we'll see. We'll see. Should probably leave well enough alone for a change. One of the highlights for this particular gun on the day, I did a bit of standing unsupported shooting, and they had a gong all the way back up the top of the hill at just a shade over 400 meters away, and it was easy. Very easy to stand up and shoot that gong. So usually at 400 meters I have to be pretty well anchored to the bench, but yeah, this thing is just so easy to shoot and so accurate that it just does exactly what you want it to do all the time. So if you are looking for a good little centerfire setup, these Mossberg MVPs, I've really enjoyed using mine, and my cameraman, my brother, he has one as well, and his is so accurate that it's boring. It's not an adventure like a home-built gun like this one, where you always have something to fix and something to change. It just works really, really well, and they have wonderful triggers too. So yeah. Well, that's about it for the vlog today. That was last weekend. That was this weekend. It's time to go and have a beer, put the guns away, and chill out. So if you liked what you saw, make sure you subscribe, smash that like button, and I will see you in the next one.